So for those that don't know, how is the banking system in Mexico different from the United States?
It's very different according to the laws. To open a bank account, you have to fulfill a lot of requirements. And that's because Mexico is very careful with the money that comes and goes.
Like money laundering?
Yeah, that's a thing. So it's difficult because in the US, to open an account, you just need your ID and that's it. Mm-hmm. Here, you need your ID. You need to prove that you're living. You need to prove where you live. You need to prove that you were born.
Welcome to the Nick Fong Podcast. As the broker and owner of Ronival Real Estate, Nick has spent nearly 20 years in Baja California Sur. And in this podcast, he'll be talking everything Baja, from food and culture to real estate and property management. And now, here's your host, Nick Fong.
All right, welcome back to the podcast. Today, we're going to talk banking.
Wow.
Our guest, Gaby Gutiérrez, director of Banca Mifel here in, is it just Baja California Sur?
It's actually our northwest part of the country, but we don't have presence yet in Tijuana or Mexicali or up north.
Yep.
But we are opening in La Paz really soon.
So you have an office, Banca Mifel, in Cabo San Lucas and also in San Jose.
That's right.
And the third one will be in La Paz.
In La Paz. Mm-hmm.
So when are you going to be in Loreto, Los Burritos?
Probably I have to convince the people, but I have my means of doing it.
The headquarters of Banca Mifel is in what city?
Mexico City, in Polanco.
Fantastic. And we were actually just on a meeting yesterday with some of your folks out of Mexico City.
Yes.
And we were talking about FX. What is FX?
It's a mystery.
Currency exchange, right?
Yeah, exchange rate. I mean, currency exchange. We use here dollars and pesos, but all the currencies, we manage all the currencies.
So you as a bank, Banca Mifel, for your clients, you have both Mexican peso and US dollar accounts.
That's right. And that only happens in the Baja California Sur and Baja California Norte because they are considered frontier states of Mexico. So in the rest of the country, you don't have access to have a dollar account being a person, which is weird, but that's the law.
So we have a big exception, and probably not only because of the business that goes back and forth across border, but in our location, most of our clients are foreigners.
Of course, a lot of the people.
Yeah, I mean, Rodrigo Esponda was on our podcast, and he was mentioning that it's a far majority of our tourists are foreigners.
Yeah, 90%.
Yeah.
90%.
Okay, so Banca Mifel, you've been in the banking industry for how many years?
For 18 years. Well, I'm from Ecuador, and I came to Mexico to live in Los Cabos directly. I haven't lived in any other part of Mexico. And I didn't do banking before. I was actually in real estate business.
What?
I know, in Ecuador. And I came here and I was supposed to be a housewife and a mom 24/7, but I think I didn't do it. And I started looking for something else to do and found an opportunity in BBVA, was the other bank that I worked for, and went in several areas of the bank. And it's very different, the system in banking system in Mexico than in Ecuador. Ecuador is more like the US in banking, facilities. And it was a challenge, but I think I like it.
So for those that don't know, how is the banking system in Mexico different from the United States?
It's very different according to the laws. To open a bank account, you have to fulfill a lot of requirements. And that's because Mexico is very careful with the money that comes and goes.
Like money laundering.
Yeah, that's a thing. So it's difficult because in the U.S. to open an account, you just need your ID and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Here, you need your ID. You need to prove that you're living. You need to prove where you live. You need to prove that you were born. I mean,
so like a birth certificate.
Sometimes birth certificates for any file information maybe is required. If you are married or not.
You need a visa too?
Depends.
Okay.
If you are a foreigner, you need to prove that you live here,
right.
And you need to prove that you are staying here. So some banks, they ask you for the migration form. In Banca Mifel, we don't ask you that for opening an account, but it's a lot of legal procedures and it takes time to do it.
How much time does a typical foreigner need to set up a bank account in Mexico?
Just the passport,
yeah,
and the utility bill.
That's kind of hard, no?
Yeah, but if you go to Banca Mifel, I'm sorry to go, but if you go to Banca Mifel, you don't need to present your utility bill in your name.
Oh, so it could be a place that you rent?
Exactly. So, and you just sign the utility bill saying that you live there.
Okay.
And also your migration form if you have it, but if you're a tourist that comes and goes, that white paper that you fill out in the.
Now it's a stamp in the
passport.
It's
a stamp in in the passport. So
so your passport maybe with the stamp, it'll be enough.
Yeah, we take a copy of that and you can open an account.
All
Dollars and pesos.
Dollars and in pesos. So if you have both accounts, is it easy to do exchange between the two?
Yes, you can do it online. Or you can do it by phone. Online, the exchange rate varies and it's more like convenient to do it with your executive. Yeah. Because you can get a better rate.
Fantastic. So when you're exchanging a large number of dollars or pesos, it makes sense to call the banker.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. With the two locations, a third one coming, and doing checking services, both in U.S. and in pesos, what other financial services does Banca Mifel offer? We
have all the financial services you might need, being a person or being a company. That means loans. That means projects. We have trusts, fideicomisos. We have also financial services in general. We make tailor-made solutions for companies and also for the people, because when we first came here, I was the one that had the opportunity to open the bank here in Los Cabos. That was a challenge. It was so fun.
How many years ago was that?
It's 5.5 years ago. So when we opened, we had this commitment to do it right. To do it upon the market, the people asking us to do some product.
Yeah, the demand, right?
The demand,
the consumer is saying, I need this, I need that.
Exactly, because other banks, and I've been there, they have the rules and you have to do it. Yeah, exactly, and we changed that. We adapt our services to the market.
Okay.
That is so good because you can come to us with an idea and we will see the way of doing it.
Hey, thanks for being a part of the Nick Fong podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast to get the latest updates. And if you're watching this on our social channels, please like and share. And if you want to be featured or you want me to talk on a certain topic, food, activities, culture, real estate in the Baja, drop a comment.
I can personally attest to that because you and I were talking about solution for a problem. I just sent you a WhatsApp and said, Gabby, just came out of a meeting with the developer, and the exchange rate with the Mexican peso to US dollar has changed by like 10% in the last couple months.
Yeah.
And developers have been experiencing great benefits where the US dollar is stronger against the Mexican peso. 20 or more pesos to the US dollar. Now it's 18.
Exactly.
So that's a 10% reduction. And why a developer is really struggling with this, they're selling in US dollars, the real estate, but they're paying their expenses in a much more expensive currency now.
Exactly.
So you and your team are working on a solution for our developers.
Yes, not only for developers, but also for all the hotels, tourism in general, because we were used, and it happened for years, that the dollar was up and the peso was down, and your expenses in general are in pesos. So you have that margin of gaining, and no one was worried about it. It was another income, not really showed, but another income.
Right.
So, but now it's backwards.
It's an expense.
Yeah, it's an expense. So, but we have products that can cover that difference. It's like an insurance, derivatives, it calls options or futures or
Forwards, as
forwards.
I learned yesterday.
Yes. And we can create a solution upon the business of the company. If it's a developer, if it's an export company or a hotel or any company, upon their needs, specific for months, for years, or for quarters, or whatever they need.
What are some of the new projects that Banca Mifel is embarking on? I know you're opening the new office or branch in La Paz, but what other things should we be looking out for?
We have bridge loans, and we have financed 5 projects up to now.
These are construction real estate
Construction real estate residences. Is for when we call bridge loan, is while you are constructing a residence solution.
So a bridge loan is a temporary loan that a developer takes from a bank where they don't have all the finances, maybe
only you have to pay only the interest, not the principal, and it comes for constructing the development, and then when you sell the units, you pay the loan, and you keep the income.
Okay, and it's good for a developer's standpoint because just paying the interest, it keeps cash flow higher.
Exactly.
And if it's a good project, it should sell out in 1, 2, 3 years. And from a bank's perspective, your risk is mitigated.
Yeah, it's very low. Actually, it's not like a good business for the bank to give the loans bridge. The business for the bank is actually the connection with the final consumer using a loan of the bank.
So you offer that to the
We don't have
buyer?
dollars or peso. I mean, we have just pesos for national residents in loans, and but we have for foreign residents being like permanent residents. We have pesos loans for them.
So if I'm an American and I'm buying something in Cabo or somewhere in Baja, I can get a peso-based loan.
If you are you have a permanent resident.
Do you have to be making income?
Yeah.
You do?
Income here. We can take also income in the States.
Okay.
Showing like your statements of account.
Bank statements or tax returns or both?
Both.
Okay. And do you know any of the underwriting guidelines for that? Or is that a separate department?
It's a separate department, but we deal with it. And all we have to do is actually analyze your documents. We send them, the factory for loans in Banca Mifel is in Mexico City.
Right.
No matter if it's a credit card or if it's a full project loan,
Goes to
which we
Mexico
have.
City.
It's in Mexico City, but we here have the means to do it, to analyze, and we pass them to the credit department in Mexico City, and they return the file
Approval.
up to us.
Okay. What are the interest rate ranges
In
on a
pesos,
mortgage? In pesos.
is 9.8%. Which I consider is very good because talking about today, they raised the interest rate in Mexico after the United States, and we have the interbanking rate in 11% now.
Oh.
It was 10.50, and now is 11%.
And
Just today.
just today, but your mortgage interest rates
It's 9.8.
is still 9.8. And what's the loan term for that?
Up to 20 years.
Okay.
And you have to give 10% down payment, and the rest we can finance.
Okay. And so they could just walk into any consumer could walk into the bank and start that process.
Yeah, and we speak English.
We speak English just like you.
In case, coming to the language, you need your banker to speak English,
Right.
as well as your doctor and your lawyer.
Yeah. Well, those are their trusted advisors. So your health, your legal stuff, and your money.
And your money, exactly.
Well, with that, I think that is a lot of information. Banca Mifel, guys, if you're interested, stop into one of their offices, Cabo, San Jose, or soon to be La Paz. And Gabby, can people contact you directly?
Oh, yeah.
And what's the best way to contact you?
By WhatsApp.
WhatsApp? So what's your cell phone?
It's my personal cell phone.
Ooh, we're getting a personal cell phone.
It's okay. I'm a person of persons. It's 624-151-7844.
Plus 52, if you're going to put the country code, 624-151.
7844.
And with that, this is Gaby Gutierrez, Banca Mifel, and until the next one, bye for
It's been
now.
a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Nick Fong Podcast. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and the YouTube channel at youtube.com/Ronival Real Estate. And follow Nick on Instagram at NickFong_Ronival. Ready to find your Baja dream home? Check out the latest property listings at Ronival.com or findmexicohouses.com. Hasta luego.